Okay. Up next, telling time. This is one of my favorite things because it's one of those sort of borderline archaic things that you don't really see anymore. You don't see a whole lot of analog clocks anymore. But the last classroom that I worked in was at a school where cell phones were strictly forbidden to everybody during school hours, including teachers, by the way. I also was not able to be on my cell phone during class time. And I had one of these analog clocks, and I picked up one that ran backwards, one that ran counterclockwise. So instead of going 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would go 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, and it would go the other direction. And it messed students up something fierce, I will tell you. Lots of fun. Which one of these shows 1 o'clock? So remember, with telling time, the general idea is that the shorthand is pointing to the hour, sort of. This is pointing directly at 1, but it's not going to stay there, right? Because this is a mechanical clock, it doesn't just stay at 1 until it immediately snaps over to 2. Instead, as we go further and further, as the minute hand goes further and further around, this hour hand will get closer and closer to 2. And then finally at 2 o'clock, it will be at exactly 2. So one of the things that you want to make sure to get across to students is the hour hand is pointing at the last hour that it passed. Okay? It's pointing at the last one that it passed, not the next one that it's going to. So 1 o'clock is this one right here, but let's take a look at the other one. Yeah, that's 12 o'clock, right? When they're both pointing straight up, that's 12 o'clock, either noon or midnight, whichever. What time is it? Well, as I was saying, here we have an hour hand that is in between 8 and 9. In fact, it's exactly halfway between 8 and 9. So it's pointing at the previous one. And now we're having another chance to learn to sort of count by fives. Because remember, the way I learned clocks is that when it came to minutes, this was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So not only does this give students a great chance to practice counting by fives, but it also gives them a chance to work in a base 60 system, which is really weird. There aren't a lot of places where we take 60 all the way around. It's really just circles. It's time and it's like degrees. And it's our first exposure to a non-base 10 system, and it's very fascinating to me. So this is 8:30. There were actually, by the way, some students when I gave this, they would actually put in what time it was right then. So as I'm recording this, it is 6:56 p.m. Where I am. So they would put 6:56 p.m. and ignore the clock. I don't know. Which clock shows half past 7 o'clock? Half past is another one of those sort of antiquated terms that you don't hear a lot anymore. But because an hour is 60 minutes, half past 7 o'clock would be 7 and 30 minutes, so 7:30, which is A. B looks like it is 9:30. Yeah, it is still, we still have the large hand pointing at 30, which is 6 times 5, and the short hand is in between the 9 and the 10, which means it is pointing at the 9 all the way up until it gets to exactly 10. What time is it? That looks like 5 o'clock to me. Notice that we're only doing hour or half hour, right? We're not doing like 05 or 2:57 or anything like that. We're just looking at either on the hour or on the half hour. There will be plenty more time to develop this skill in later years. We don't want to pile it all in at once. We just want to give a little bit of familiarity at a time so that the next time they see clocks, they can go, oh yeah, we saw those once before. Which clock shows 12:30? Looks like that one to me. This one looks like it is 11:30 because the big hand is pointing at the 11 all the way up until the point that it actually hits the 12. That's called a floor function, by the way, which is another very advanced topic that we're already sort of starting to sow the seeds for. Wow, that was a lot of alliteration with our students. This time looks like it's 3 o'clock. This looks like 8:30, so it's probably B is 8 o'clock. Yep, there it is. Long hand pointing directly up, which is 0. Short hand pointing at the 8, so it is 8 o'clock. And that's telling time. Later on, there will be units where they have to tell time without having the numbers on the clock. And man, whew, that is a lesson in humility for a lot of students.